right? People ask me, why are you not having a child in the US? Right? You would get a US passport, right? My typical answer to these kind of questions is, you don't need Indians to graduate into American citizens, right? That's not a vision for India, right? You want to become the next best superpower, right? And if Indians don't participate in building India, who else will? We went on to build a small platform which was connecting producers to consumers of AI models. We did it. While I did that, the way I would sustain this company is I would go around to corporates. I would do training on machine learning and AI, right? I would teach people. I would I would make money out of that. I would take that money, invest it on the company, right?
Hi all, welcome to episode 2 of Not So Famous. You have heard about Arun a lot in the previous episode, his special ability and how he has, you know, traversed through his whole childhood with this, and how did he make things work his way, the confidence that he gained, and the many other things. You can definitely go back and watch that episode if you haven't. Let's talk about his career advances that he has done in episode 2. And with that, so Arun, if we look at your career, right, tell us, how did you start, from what company,
Oh,
your
sure.
startup, then Reliance, then Google. In between, you had Amazon as well. You have worked for the best tech companies in India. So walk us through your career once. Talk us through the challenges that you have faced, how you overcame them. And then there are emails, there are flowcharts, there are coding, there are code reviews, there are design reviews, things that need vision as the most important aspect, or the most important sensory organ that we need. But you, with this challenge, have come to a path where leading the AIML charter in one of the biggest teams in Google. So walk us through this. This is such an inspiring journey. We want to cover it.
Of course, thank you. Thanks for the brilliant question. Right, so let's start all the way from where I started with my career. Right, I've been in the industry for close to 25 years now. Right, when I started in India, we just had the services companies. Right,
Right.
like I told you in the last episode. Uh, I just went on to get campus placed on the second day to Satyam Computers.
Okay.
Right. So I stayed there for close to a year. Right. It was I got trained there, and I did a couple of projects, but nothing was exciting me. Right. I was very passionate technically throughout. Right. I enjoyed technology throughout. I didn't find anything like that. Right. And then from there I switched over. Back then you had Wipro, right? Wipro and Infosys were some of the good companies to go to. I went to Wipro for a little while, right? There I met my first mentor, right? He still is my mentor, right? Dr. Jay Krishna Rao, right? So who did his PhD, from IASC in data science, right? So I met him back then, and he was with the limited budgets you would get in a services company to do research kind of work. He was somebody who was doing research work on knowledge engineering, right? I would and he saw me as somebody who was very passionate with technology, and he was the first one who introduced me to writing papers, right? Coming up with patents, thinking of new ideas and all that, right? And services companies, right? They would try to place you into customer locations, right? These guys were trying to place me, and he would try to hold me back as much as possible. And then there came an opportunity where Boeing was wanting a position in their research team, right? A research team in the US. So he was expected to go. Given his family conditions, he said, "Okay, let me send Arun there." Okay, I was a kid. I went there, right, and Boeing was a company that was doing research which was far fetched at the time, right, and they asked me to create the first intelligent agent for Boeing. This is like about 23, 24 years, right, back 99, 2000 time frame, right,
Oh
back
man.
then, right.
Okay, that's okay. I understand now. I was in school, I think, at that point in time.
Yeah, back then they asked me to create something like that, right. So I created their ontology. Everything that we did was well ahead of time, right. We put things out there. Even for Boeing, things were all ahead of time, right. Boeing decided that that project was too far-fetched at that point in time, but they decided to send everybody else in the team but keep me alone, right,
Wow.
because they would want me to work on other initiatives there, right. Hung around with them for a few years, then then I moved to Kodak Easy Share Gallery, right, which before you would have the photo sharing apps like Picasa, right. Kodak had one which didn't go that far, uh, right. So I got into their platform development group, at San Francisco, right, and I was working there for a little while, right, a little while for about a year, and we were getting married. That was the time where I met my wife, and we were together visualizing how our life should be designed, and we thought it would be a lot more purposeful to get back to India,
Mhm.
right, and make sure that we build something in India for India, right. And I always used to believe that we have such a flourishing IT industry, but we still don't have any IT product built from India, right. It's changing, but not at the pace that we want to yet, right. So that was our dream. We also wanted to give back to the society in a much more meaningful way, right, by generating wealth through building a business, right. So we dreamt of that, and she would agree with me that we will not go in for a citizenship in the US, and we will get back to India, right,
Oh, that
after.
was always thought through?
Yeah, it was a well thought out
Oh man.
decision.
That's
Uh,
such a noble idea. As in, when I,
yeah,
let's go. Let's like, keep it.
absolutely. After about 7 years in the US, we decided to move back to India. Right? People asked me, why are you not having a child in the US? Right? You would get a US passport, right? My typical answer to these kind of questions is, you don't need Indians to graduate into American citizens, right. That's not a vision for India, right. You want to become the next best superpower, right. And if Indians don't participate in building India, who else will, right. So
Absolutely.
that was the reason we said our child will be a global citizen, born in India, will be well traveled, will be well educated, will get the best in the world, but will be an Indian citizen. So we decided that we will have a child in India. We got back to India, right? When I got back to India, I was looking out for options. Yeah, given my likes for cutting edge of tech and all that, I was looking out for research groups in India. I landed with Fair Isaac, which was trying to do some rule engines and all that back then, right? Which was putting out the FICO scores, right? Credit scores and all. I landed with them. They were doing a lot of professional consulting type work. It didn't excite me that much, right.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I always followed was, uh, you fail fast, right. If things don't work, just move on as soon as possible, right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
that's
people kept
very
telling me,
core.
oh, it'll show badly on your resume. Nothing shows badly on your resume, right. It's what's more important is you have a limited lifetime to live. You make the best use of every day. Don't optimize for how it looks on your resume, right. Optimize for where you will be best, right? So I decided to move within a few months, right? Nothing happened. I just moved within just a few months, about 3 or 4 months. I said, this is not for me. I just moved out. Right? Accenture Research Group took me back then. Right? I worked with them for about 3 years. Right? I would do all their software engineering research. Right? I would build code quality tools like the static analyzers and all that. Right? And there was always an urge to do something big, right? Because I came here to build a startup, right? And there was a point a point at which I said, okay, this is all okay. If I need to build a startup, I need to first expose myself to startup ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Let me go try out a startup, right? And there was this company called Kuliza, right, which was started by an ex-Amazonian. We were both of similar experience at that time, right? About 10, 11 years of experience when I decided to join him. Right? He had started. He left Amazon. He had started. He was trying to build products for other companies. He had a couple of customers for who he was building products. First of its kind in India back
So
then.
Kuliza Tech is something in Electronic City. Is that one?
Yeah, now they are at Electronic City,
Ah,
right? So they used to be at the Huzur Road as a small shop, right? I joined them. We started all the way from like 10, 12 members. We went up to 70 people. It gave me a good sense of how to think about startups, how to think about business ideas, how to scale a team, how to think about talent, right? It also gave me the perspective that being technical is very important, but that alone is not going to be sufficient, right?
got it.
You got to build multiple other skills. You have to have the ability to think about products. You have to have the ability to think about selling your idea. You have to have the ability to build a strong, passionate team. I started getting those ideas, right? And I wanted to try all that out, right? And this guy Anand, uh, who was the CEO, he was of the same age group. He had a similar experience. I would always envy him. And when I looked back at his career, I saw bulk of his time was spent at Amazon. I said, okay, next company has to be Amazon. I want to do some more practicing there, right? And I gave an interview to Amazon, right? And Amazon would hire me, right? And they would hire me as a SDE, which stands for Software Development Engineer, which is an individual contributor. I said, I won't join you, right? And then I asked for a management position. They asked, you don't have an experience in management. I said, take me as your junior most manager. I want to become a manager, right? And they said, oh yeah, but we can take you as a manager for our Kindle team at Chennai. Would you be willing to do? Yeah, I'm going to become a manager, so I'm going to go to Chennai or Timbuktu. Who cares? I'm going, right?
Yes.
I just moved there, right? And after that, I was with Amazon for about 7 years since, right?
That's
Uh,
quite some time.
that was quite some time, right? And the reason was, uh, I liked the leadership principles there, right? I liked the way Jeff Bezos was running his company, right? He was building a mission where he was continuously improving people performance. He named the 14 leadership principles, which are life altering in many ways, right? Things like, hire and develop the best, insist on high standards. It got to a point where even if I had to hire a painter for my house, I needed to go for the world's best painter, right? And find the best guy who could do the best painting for my house, right? So it changed me so much. I loved the culture so much, right? So much. And throughout I was learning management. I was getting involved in multiple areas. First I started with the Kindle team, right, building file formats and all that. Then I tried out Amazon retail for a little while, right. At the back of my mind, I always knew I came to start a company, right. That was my purpose. I had to start a company someday, right? I was just enjoying Amazon for a little longer, right? And then after 6 years, I put my foot down and said, hey, now I'm going out and I'm starting my own, right? I'm moving out of Amazon. I will go try my own stuff, right? And some of my friends advised you will need a lot of VC connects and all that, right? Why don't you get now that you're senior enough at Amazon, you will find good positions in big Indian companies. Go there, get some networking done, right? With some of the big players, right? And then when I was looking out for options, I met with the founder of GoIbibo, right? Ex Googler as well, right? And I started. We gelled well, right? He had a very junior CTO. He said, "You can come in for this bigger company. I can make you somebody who works very closely with the CTO, and eventually you can grow into that role, right?" And things changed quickly. Within 3 or 4 months, I joined. He sold the company to make my trip, right? And Deep Kalra had a completely different perspective of everything, right? Again, I left GoIbibo in probably 5 months because I came out to start my own company. I went out, I started my own. It was a dramatic period. By this time, right, the thing that had happened with my medical condition, from being somebody who was partially uh, capable to see things, I turned into a person who cannot see anything, right? This happened simultaneously during my Amazon days and my GoIbibo days, right? These two things have happened simultaneously. I got to a point where I have no vision, a bold dream that I have to go do a startup. I had a job which was GoIbibo. I didn't like the way it was changing. One evening, I told my wife, I need to leave this job. I want to start my own, right? And to her credit, she said, "Yeah, this has been your dream. Go do it, right?
Awesome.
Go do it. This has been your dream. Go do it. I will support you." And she was with Accenture. She was working. She said, "I'll continue for some more time. I'll work. We'll take care of the family. You go do your dream," right? I went out there, right? I Initially I started very small, very conservative, right? I didn't go for funding. I didn't aspire to become big quickly, right? I picked up I identified another partner who would work with me, right? Together we created a very small niche team which would focus just on putting together the first AI platform for India, which was the dream. I repeat, I have no sight but a big vision, right? We did it. We went on to build a small platform which was connecting producers to consumers of AI models. We did it. While I did that, the way I would sustain this company is I would go around to corporates. I would do training on machine learning and AI, right? I would teach people. I would make money out of that. I would take that money, invest it on the company, right? So my family, I didn't even borrow a single rupee from my family's balances or from my wife to take care of the family. In fact, throughout my startup journey, I was always making money. I was feeding my family as well as feeding my team, and I was growing my team. We got to a point where we realized the business model I was chasing was not scalable enough. We had 350 customer startups who were using our services. We had lot of producers who are all IIT grads and all that, who are producing content for us. But then this was not going to scale to big companies and all that, right? So that was the point at which I said, okay, now I need to hand this off to somebody else, right? Who could use this, and then I moved to Jio to play the game with them, right? So I was with Jio. There too I met, see how lucky I am throughout, right? I met another Googler there who was hired, Shailesh Kumar, right? He was hired there to set up the AI Center of Excellence. He was looking for somebody who could partner with him in the Reliance umbrella. I said, okay, I'll come join along with you, right? I was After a lot of conversations, we said we'll start the team. We started the team with just the first three of us, right? With one other person other than me and Shailesh, right? We started the team. He came from UT Austin, and he had a long experience with data science, right? And with Google as well, right? He had deep understanding of natural language processing, and we would work there. We would imagine how GeoBuddy, which would compete against Siri and Alexa and all these other products that were there, would work for the Indian market at an extremely low cost geophone, right?
Oh,
In
that was the
all,
idea.
yeah,
Got
in
it.
all local languages. This is the imagination with which we started. We built platforms. We were building India's first AI platform, a platform at scale, hoping someday that we will commercialize it, right? And we got to a point where about four of the geo businesses, right, like telecom, agriculture, and a few others, started to be using this platform, right? And GeoPhone started having GeoBuddy, which was connected to our services. And that's the point at which I jumped on to Google to start working with Google, right? I think the meta point I would make is just follow your passion, right? Just follow your heart, right? Your gut feel never goes wrong. Right, it's hindsight is always 2020. Today I tell you I took this decision after this decision after this decision, as if I planned this like a story well ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's not true, right? Nobody knows that, right? The time at which you take a decision, you have limited information. Go with your gut feel, right? And it never goes wrong. Take the right decision, move on with it, right? And if it's a wrong decision, it's okay to take a wrong decision, then take a right decision, right?
Right.
I've always believed this, right? And some people call this as risk taking. Okay, let it be risk taking. Let's call it that, right? Prepare yourself for risk taking at every point in time. Work on making yourself financially independent so that you or your family is not only dependent on this one stream of income, which allows you to play your game the way you want to play it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to play somebody else's game. When I came into Google, I was handed over a team which was predominantly doing maintenance work out of India, right? We wanted to change the course completely. We rethought the way customer support should happen for all of Google Cloud. We rethought how AI should be applied to all of Google Cloud, and how customer service should evolve using AI and ML. Right? We rethought everything. A lot of people around us said, no, this is not possible. Like always, when everybody around you tells you it's not possible, that means you have an idea.
Absolutely. That's always
You
the
just
thing that
have
my
an
dad
idea.
says also.
You have a new idea. If everybody says yes, it means that it's an idea that somebody else would have already
Thought
attempted,
of, thought of. Yes.
thought of, attempted. So always, I've always believed this. When the world moved towards the West, I moved eastward from US to India. It paid for me, right? Competition is a lot less when you are a contrarian. I do contrarian investing. I do contrarian career management. I take decisions that are generally out of the box, that not many people generally would be considered to be risky. Let me put it that way, right? It's very high risk. I would generally look at it and say, which is the most safest thing, right? Be in a job, get a salary, get your PF done, get your retirement done, and finally what? That's the sure shot way to be poor at the end of the retirement, right? You will have a house at the outskirts of your city. You will read a newspaper every morning. You will have a son or a daughter who have gone to some college. Is that all you want in life? Is our
Absolutely.
ambitions that limited? Not really,
Not
right?
really.
Not really, right? So if on the other hand, if you take decisions that nobody has taken, at most what can happen? You could fail. So what? Wear that as a badge of honor. Try
Absolutely.
again, right? And in the process, you would build your own startup, maybe, or maybe you'll chase your own passion. Maybe your passion is agriculture. You'll go pick up some land and do plowing there. Why not? I discovered passions like investing by going and trying out stuff on my own, right? When you always, it's a good idea to try and fail rather than not to try.
Absolutely. That's so inspiring for people who are listening right now.
Yeah,
Like, my father always used to tell, like, failure is inevitable,
absolutely,
but if you can only feel success only when you fail it. He always
absolutely.
says that. And that's always in my head when I think of anything. But and having said that, like, that's a great professional journey and for people to know and how you have traversed, right? Now coming back to the point wherein nowadays, as I said at the beginning, like, how do you access these design reviews? How do you access these code reviews? How do you understand design? How do you view it? Like, if someone has to understand how Arun's day is, a day in Arun's life, what does he do?
Oh, beautiful question. Thank you. Let's look at a typical day of life for Arun, right? Uh, who has no sight but a big vision, right? So how does it look like? Uh, yeah. So my day typically starts like everybody else, right? I start my day going to my. I wake up early. I go to a gym, right? I take care of my body first.
Right.
Then I come after that. I spend the next 15 minutes doing meditation, right, to take care of my spiritual health, right? These two things are the first things to which I think everybody should invest, right? Health is a combination of mental health and physical health.
Physical health.
Once you have taken care of that, the next thing that is very important for me is your education, right? How do you do that? I read books. How do I read books? I can't see. How do I read books? I use Audible wherever possible, right? Audible or audiobooks
Mhm.
wherever possible when I am traveling, right? I use some of those technologies to read books. Now, can I read physical books? Why not, right? So today there is a tool called Arcam True Eye, which is a computer vision based tool, which is a device that is fit into a blind person's spectacle,
Mhm.
right? It just takes a picture of the physical book right in front of you, and then reads it out for you.
Wow.
Now you may want to specifically point to a picture. It would describe what's in the picture for you,
Ooh.
right? So it would do that. This is how I do my reading, right? I can access every little book that exists out there, right? And books are the most important thing that changes my life. So I have a strong passion for reading, so I continue to do that in the morning, right?
Great.
This is my morning ritual before I start my professional work, irrespective of the day. Even if it was a Sunday, these things are non-negotiables for me, right?
Great.
Now, when I start my day, right, Google has provided me with a support assistant, like you guys know, right?
Mhm.
Me and my support assistant, we first start the day by first looking up on the calendar, right? Plan the calendar. Yeah, today you have computers that can read things out pretty well for you, screen readers, which are so very accessible today, right? Amongst the devices that I'm aware of, MacBook has the best accessibility toolkit that comes out of the box, right?
Okay.
While Mac is a most expensive computer, it's the most cost effective one for somebody with disabilities because it packages all these features in the base model, You
Oh,
don't have to buy anything externally,
oh, I
right?
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's the best toolkit that's out there. Now we once we complete the calendaring work, then we move on to emails. Emails, I read it with a combination of screen readers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes when there are documents to be read, screen readers can do a good job of doing the document reading for me. But there are parts of the document where I will need to review, comment, or respond to, right? So those are places where I get support assistance from somebody today, right? The technology is not sufficient enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea here is this, right? Wherever you can, for somebody like me, you know, figure out the possibilities of automation wherever possible, right? If there's a machine that can do the job of reading out for you or writing for you, get the machine to do it.
Got
Second
it.
best thing is use the support assistants who are human assistants, right? To navigate through the space, or to specifically write comments, or some complicated diagrams, right? So you can use human assistance there. The other things that I also want to point out is today there are AI tools out there where you can just write a small description of what you want to see as a picture, and it will draw the picture for you, right?
Got it.
It'll draw the picture. So these are all things that are available out of the box as tools for us. We use them, right? So this is how I go about answering all emails, documents, and all that. Within the office, mobility, I get assistance from my support assistant or other team members, and move around to different meeting rooms and stuff like that, attend meetings, right? And most of the input is through touch typing, so I can type as fast as you can, right? And
Yeah, I've
you
seen
don't
you
need to
type.
see, you don't need to see in order to type or provide input. You can provide the input, and then get the shortcut keys to actually mark everything that you have typed. Ask the computer to read it out for you. You know whether you have typed it correctly or not. Go make modifications required, repeat it a few times, you're good. Instead of getting your feedback by reading, you get audio feedback. That's the only difference here, right? Other than that, you can do it. This could be for code as well, right? Just go line by line, mark the line, read what is in there, modify it, update it, and submit it. The same compiler works for you and me, same interpreter works for you and me, same test cases work for you and me. Why is it any different? It's all the same. It's just that I can't see, but I can hear, and I just have to mark and play, and I know it all works well. And there's so much of tools that are available out there, right? Technically. So I would say that, for people with my kind of condition, the only thing you got to figure out is what is the right set of tools that are out there that work for you. Experiment, explore, personalize it. And personal AI is your best friend for this kind of conditions, right? It allows you to walk, talk, I'm sorry, not talk, walk, read, write, everything, right?
Yeah. So, if I have to ask you, like, now you have come so far in your career, but you have in a much successful position right here.
Yeah.
What is the road ahead for you? Like, what have you planned ahead? Like, I know vacations would be in your calendar as well. We were just talking about that in lunch, during our lunch. So, what are the things that you want to do going forward? Like, what are your ambitions right now for the next 10 years, if I may ask?
Why only 10 years, right? I will be on my in this profession till my last breath, right?
Got it.
So I will have my own setup. I will do my own stuff till I'm alive, right? Because this is the thing that I love the most. You don't pay me, still I'll do this, right? The way I think of my future, right, from here on. Where am I today, right? I have tried my startup. I have built a trust which is today donating to educational institutions for putting together infrastructure. We give out
Oh,
scholarships every year. right, for aspiring students, right, meritorious students. We give out scholarships. So from here, where do I see myself going, right? Uh, I've just begun my journey, right? So I still have a dream to build a product for the Indian marketplace, right? Built in India using Indian technology, right? All tech built here, and it competes globally. That's my dream, right? It's a tech that is homegrown, built here, and we compete against the best of the best in the world, right? I want to think of ourselves to be the maybe it is artificial intelligence or virtual reality or whatever it is, right? Think of any one product that if I could build that product and compete in the world market and be the number one, and it has to be built from India, right? And that's the dream, right? If that happens, I think there is enough that I've achieved, right? I achieved seeing where we started as an industry and where we are landing. I would have done a lot. And the thing that I also want to do is, while I do all this, I want to make sure that I have the joy of giving, right? And a good portion of what comes out of these initiatives, right? uh, we did this with the startup, right? About 20% of what the startup earned went into our trust, which helped build infrastructure, right? So any such initiative, I would want to continue to do that, right? Make the trust go places. Today it is pretty much in rural areas of Tamil Nadu today, right? To a large extent, merit scholarships have been given to NIT students, right? I would like to expand that program, right? And more so, the way I would want to earn trust there is first put a lot of my money into it and make sure that it has demonstrated a difference in the society. Then I would want others to come and participate. We are not asking for any donations at this time.
Awesome, awesome. This is really emotional and at the same time
Yeah.
very inspiring. And for people, for the first time, I'll say this: if you don't want to subscribe, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
Do watch his episode, as in, it's completely fine. This is quite an emotional journey for me as I was talking to you. And thanks a lot,
Absolutely.
Arun, for your
Thank
time.
you.
And this
Thank you
is such an
so much,
inspirational
Shivu.
story.
Thank you for doing this and giving visibility to people like us, right? And it's very important that these kind of best practices go out. As a fact, I know that about 80 to 90% of the people with conditions like these uh, do not make it this far, right? They
Yeah,
find it extremely hard, right? And that's more to do with the social conditioning we have, right? And spreading this word hopefully makes some change in the way
absolutely.
we think as a society.
Yeah, I think it is more about how it's not about the person who has the special ability, but more about the people around him
Absolutely.
who affect the way he thinks. Like, as he
Absolutely.
said, like if people around him are motivating him to
Yeah.
take a step further and they want to hold his hand, I think there is a
Yeah.
lot more things that a human can do when he's supported.
Absolutely.
And I want this uh, specific episodes to reach out to people who have special ability and who see what Arun has achieved, and not because he is in a special position, but it is that you can be also uh, in that special position. This is quite uh, an emotional episode that I wanted to shoot all the time, but truly an honor from my end. Uh,
Thank you.
I'm touched.
Thank you.
I think when Abhi watches and we launch this, people get to hear this. To be very honest, this is truly an honor for
Absolutely.
me,
Thank you.
and I'm so honored to be a to interview as and you coming for this episode. And thanks, man. There is
Thank you.
nothing more. So I'm trying to shake a hand. Yes,
Thank you.
thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
Shibu.
Thanks a
Thanks a
lot, sir.
lot.
Yep.
Thanks. Nice.
Bye bye.
Nice talking to you. Thank
Keep
you.
watching.
Bye.
Bye bye.